Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Brahmanas were not only given well-fed cows in charity, but also gold coins, bedding, clothing, animal skin seats, blankets, horses, elephants, girls, and sufficient land for maintenance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. All these charities were meant for the Brahmanas, whose lives were devoted entirely to the welfare of society, both spiritually and materially. The Brahmanas were not giving their service as paid servants, but the society provided them with all the necessities. It was arranged for some of the Brahmanas who were in difficulty for marriage to be given girls. The Brahmanas, therefore, had no economic problems. The Kshatriya kings and rich mercantile men would provide them with all that they needed, and in exchange the Brahmanas were completely devoted to the elevation of society. That was the way of social cooperation between the different castes. When the Brahmana class or caste gradually became easygoing, being fed by the society, although they had no Brahminical qualifications, they degraded themselves into Brahma Bandhus, or disqualified Brahmanas, and thus other members of society also gradually fell down from the social standard of progressive life. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the caste system is the creation of the Lord and is arranged according to the quality of work rendered to society and not in terms of birthright, as falsely claimed in the present degraded society. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Very happy to be here. I've come back maybe 2 weeks ago from India, and I saw a lot of things in India about Varnashram and how Varnashram is also there. And I'm very happy to be in front of you all and get the blessings to grow in Krishna consciousness together. So please, everyone raise your hands and put them on my head so we can begin the discussion today. and hopefully that we can all grow and I can say the right thing at the right time for the benefit of all. So Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Puran, is the most pure scripture. There's 18 Purans, and 6 of them are in the mode of goodness, 6 of them are in the mode of passion, and 6 of them are in the mode of ignorance. And so Srimad Bhagavatam is the mode of goodness, and it's not just the mode of goodness, it's the mode of pure goodness, Amala Puran. And after Vyasadeva wrote all the scriptures, Vedas and Puranas and Upanishads, he was quite depressed. And so his spiritual master Narad Muni, the spaceman, the devotee spaceman traveling everywhere, he told Vyasadeva, you didn't do justice. You were writing about the material world, how to fulfill one's desires, and how to stay in the material world, but you didn't talk about how to get back to the spiritual world. You didn't glorify the spiritual world. You didn't glorify spiritual activities. You didn't glorify the Supreme Lord and the process of bhakti. So then Srimad Bhagavatam came. Vyasadeva meditated and produced this wonderful Puran, and it is said that this is the same as, or non-different from, the body of the Lord. So there's 12 cantos, 18 books, and that represents different limbs of the body of the Lord. And so here we're on canto 3, chapter 3, 27, and here the history is quite wonderful. Here, after Kurukshetra battle, where the Kauravas and the Pandavas were fighting, then before that even took place, Vidur is the minister of the king, and he gets insulted by the king's son. And so now Vidur is deciding, I'm trying so hard to help, make a good kingdom, giving good advice, and I get insulted. So what does he do? He leaves the kingdom, and the king and the people, and he goes on pilgrimage. He says, I'm not going to get involved in this fight. I don't want anything to do with it. And so he walks and walks, and he reaches Yamuna, the sacred river in India, and there he meets Uddhav. Now Uddhav is a great associate of the Lord, his cousin also, and his minister. And Uddhav is being asked by Vidur, how is Krishna? What is going on with the Pandavas? Can you give me a history? Because I'm on pilgrimage. I need some information. I just left the kingdom. How is it doing there? So Uddhav takes this opportunity to start glorifying Krishna. And that's basically the history. And here we can see this verse is about how Krishna is now finished his pastimes, and now his descendants, millions, 10 million or so, descendants of Krishna, his children's children's children, since they are pure spiritual associates of the Lord, they can't leave the material world in material means like death. They have to do it in a superior spiritual way. So what does Krishna do? He arranges for them to play with bamboo sticks, fight with seaweeds. Actually, it's seaweeds. And these seaweeds, they use those seaweeds, and after they reached, this place is called Prabhas Kshetra, where all these descendants reached, and here they're doing yagya for the Brahmins, and here the Brahmins do the yagya, and now they're offering the Brahmins gifts. And these are the different types of charities. There are 10 charities mentioned here, and they're given to the Brahmanas. And after giving to the Brahmanas, the next couple of shlokas, we see that the descendants of Yadus start feasting. After you do a little party, after you do a wedding, after you do such a big ceremony, you have a feast. And while they're feasting, Kshatriyas are accustomed to drinking alcohol sometimes. So they had some alcohol made of rice, and they started using harsh words, and they killed each other with seaweeds. They picked up these seaweeds. There's long backstory, huge backstory. It all makes sense if you hear the backstory. And they picked up these seaweeds arranged by Krishna, and they killed one another. That's 10 million people in one go dead. World War I, I guess. Or World War II, that's after Kurukshetra. But That's the verse that we're on here, and we're learning, Srila Prabhupada is saying that these charities were meant for the Brahmins. So while reading the purport yesterday, I picked up some principles that Srila Prabhupada is trying to give us, and I'll go through the purport and we can try and dissect it, and I think we have to finish in 20 minutes, 8:20, so we can see how much we can cover, and then I think there's some maintenance in the temple room. So all these charities were meant for Brahmanas whose lives were devoted entirely to the welfare of society, both spiritually and materially. So these Brahmanas, there's 4 castes. In India, Krishna says, Chaturvarnam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagasha. That means Krishna has created a civilization. He's given us this material world so we can enjoy our desires and become the Lord of all we survey. But along with that, he's given a system, a structure based on a civilization. Animals don't have a civilization. They don't have these different caste systems, even though the lion is the king of the jungle. That's irrelevant. But in the civilization of man, you need a structure. A structure is very important. That structure, how is that structure made? A structure of 4 classes. The intellectual class, the arms class for protection, the mercantile class or trading, the facility, and the labor class. So we got Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And even if we reject the caste system, those qualities are still innate in us when we purify ourselves from this Kali Yuga kind of, you could say, quality, where we're all kind of Shudras. We don't know where we are. We don't know what we're supposed to do in life. Those qualities can be brought out. Everyone goes to university, they become a Shudra, they work for someone else. But they have a specific quality where they are best in line to contribute to the society. Maybe one person can contribute in a way of intellectual. He can give guidance. One person can contribute his arms and fight for the society, protecting the society. One person can contribute because he's so business-minded, he can facilitate for the society. And one person can contribute by working like a labor. These classes we can't destroy. They're made by Krishna. So here we can see that since the Brahmanas or the elevated or the intellectual class were giving everything, Krishna is providing for them. Krishna is providing for them. They are not doing any service for money. Now the professors in university, first before you enter the university, you have to give a huge sum of money. And that's how they live off. But in the olden days, in the Vedic times, the Brahmanas would give education because knowledge is free. Knowledge is free, so they wouldn't ask any money. And in India, it's also unfortunate, but now there's not qualified Brahmins also. Where the place where Brahmins should be the most qualified, there's every Brahmin, not every Brahmin. Most of the Brahmins are eating tobacco, they're eating fish. They don't worship Lord Vishnu. They don't guide the society. They can barely guide their own family. And they are working for sense enjoyment. They have corner shops and whatnot, and they're selling. That's the mercantile class, or Shudra. They go and they degrade. But here we see that a person who's given his life selflessly for the service of society, Krishna will provide their means. Krishna always provides. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatham mam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. As ye yatham mam prapadyante, as you surrender unto me, as you work, as you do your duties, as you follow my instructions, I will reward you accordingly. So there's two parts of this purport. One is talking about how everything is provided for the Brahmins, and the next part of the purport is describing how the Brahmins are not qualified. So we can also take these principles in our own life, how we, as a devotee or as a person who's come into Krishna consciousness, we decide to give the best charity. Now the first word here is charities, all these charities. So we are a naturally propensity of the soul is to give and receive love. Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj says that what's the ultimate goal of life? He says in a 5-minute video on YouTube. And he says, and he concludes that video by saying that the goal of life is simply to give love and to receive love. Pure love, not motivated or contaminated or temporary love. The goal is to give pure love and receive that pure love back. And now how can you do that? Now we go on the streets, we may see a homeless person, we feel so compassionate, we want to give them some money. What would they do with that money? Why are they homeless in the first place? Are they qualified to get that money? What if they go into the shop, in the liquor shop, after that and get some liquor or buy some cigarettes? Then what good have you done? Your compassion was misplaced. So there's 3 types of charities. One charity is in the mode of ignorance, one charity is in the mode of passion, and one charity is in the mode of goodness. And then even Shuddha Sattva, pure goodness, there's also charity there. Charity in the mode of ignorance means you don't know why you're giving this charity. You're doing it for violent reasons. Ignorance means you don't know. So it's all about not understanding the purpose of giving charity. The mode of passion, when you give charity in the mode of passion, you may even come and give charity to the temple in the mode of passion. You give a little donation in the donation box because you want your name to be shown. You want maybe Krishna to fulfill your material desires. And you may give the donation based on sense gratification with an expectation of return. That's charity in the mode of passion. And then charity in the Bhagavad Gita, it says all this in the I think 17th chapter. I'm not sure. And then charity in the mode of goodness is that you give to a qualified person at the right time and the right place. So you give to a Brahmana or you give to a Vaishnav who can actually do good to the society with that donation. Like if you give to the donation box here in ISKCON, what will we do with that money? We'd print literature, we'd print books, we'd also make food for the society, like food for life. What do we do? What do we do in ISKCON? We are actually, when a person comes into ISKCON, they upgrade the type of contribution they can give to society. Because the highest contribution to society is giving knowledge. You don't teach the person how to fish. You don't give the person fish, you teach them how to fish. You give knowledge. So the highest knowledge isn't trying to save the coat when a person is drowning and I try and save his coat, his outer body. That's not compassion. But if I save the person, if I save the soul, that's real compassion. So we have to understand the best type of charity is spiritual charity, for the spiritual benefit, for the spiritual upliftment of society. So Krishna is providing for those Brahmins who are not doing anything for paid service, for any return. So Krishna is providing for a person who is doing charity in the mode of goodness. No expectation. Without expectation, then Krishna will give you everything. Here we see. And the Brahmanas were not giving their service as paid servants, but the society provided them with all necessities. It was arranged for some of the Brahmins who were in difficulty for marriage to be given girls. So girls, here we can see, is not a commodity, and actually they were not unhappy with with them going to be with the Brahmanas. It's a very happy situation for them. In the Vedic times, when the Brahmanas would have some difficulty with marriage, then the Kshatriyas, who would have thousands of maidservants, would say, okay, I can help you out. I'll give you, this number of, and you can choose. And that united couple will be a very, very strong couple. They would have a good family. They would have a prosperous life. And the girl would not be feeling like I was given in charity. I'm an object. It's more, thank you. Because I've just received the marriage of the highest intellectual person, and he is going to benefit me in all ways. The Brahmanas therefore had no economic problems. The Kshatriyas, kings and mercantile men would provide them with all they needed, and in exchange the Brahmanas were completely devoted to the elevation of society. So the quality of Brahmana is very important to know in this regard. That Brahmana means intellectual. In Bhagavad Gita it says, Samodama, tapas socham, shantir arjam evacha. Sama, dhamma, tapas socham. They are truthful, they are peaceful, they are tolerant, they are wise, they are in knowledge, they are compassionate, they are simple. And then other qualities are mentioned also. Patan patan, yajan yajan, dan pratigya. Brahmanas, if you're intellectual class, you have to read and you have to give the knowledge. Patan patan. Yajan yajan. You have to do sacrifice, you have to do deity worship, and you have to teach, engage everyone in deity worship. Dan pratigya. Now when you give to the Brahmins all these things like gold and bedding and blankets and horses, elephants and whatnot, they don't accept everything because they don't need everything. So whatever they don't need, it says at the end, sufficient land for maintenance. So they only accept what is needed for their own maintenance. We shouldn't accept that which is not necessary for our maintenance. We should have a simple life, simple living and high thinking. If you have a very complicated life, Krishna is providing everything for us actually. He provides you the opportunity to fulfill your desires. And he does it in 4 ways, materially. He gives you Janma, Aishwarya, Shutra, Shri. Janma means good birth. Krishna provides you with good opportunity to have a good birth. Aishwarya, he gives you wealth. To have money is a provision of Krishna. Shruta, intelligence and knowledge, and Shri, beauty. So these are the provisions offered by Krishna if we are good children. Actually, we've come to the material world because we don't want to enjoy with Krishna anymore. Ask anyone on the street, do you want to make a relationship with God? Do you want to read these books about God? No. Do you want to enjoy and go to a party? Yes. Do you want to drink alcohol? Yes. So as soon as you go into the society, you see the structure of society or the atmosphere that we're living in, any part of the world, be it India, America, Russia, England, China, whatever, where you can tell the consciousness, you can tell that person does not have an interest in God. And then there's a few people here. Just as in a prison, people go to the prison because they have committed an offense in the kingdom. And they get sent to the prison. They're not qualified to be in the prison anymore. So they have the opportunity to be punished, or you could say be rectified, reformed in the prison. But if the person in the prison realizes, okay, I understand why I'm here, now let me write a letter to the king. Let me apologize to the king. Let me become a good citizen again. So that citizen, and that's what ISKCON is, what it's doing. Jai Shishi Radha Goklananda ki jai, Shita Ram Lakshmana Hanuman ki jai, Shishi Gaurnitai ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What ISKCON is doing is that we are giving the chance for every prisoner, every person in this material world who has to suffer the 4 walls of prison, birth, death, old age and disease repeatedly, those 4 walls of our prison, Krishna is now giving, or his devotees are giving us the chance to become the servants or the ministers in the prison. So we're still in the prison, but now what ISKCON is doing is giving us a chance to rectify our faults, greed, lust, anger, all these horrible things lurking in our hearts. And it gives us a chance to serve the king. Now sometimes the king comes in the prison, right? He comes in the prison, he wants to tell everyone, okay, guys, come back. You've been too far from me for so long. Sometimes the king can go in the prison. It doesn't mean he's under the laws of the prison, but the only reason he goes to the prison is because he wants the prisoners back. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Okay, I descend into the material world. I come to the prison. And I show my activities, I show the Leela, and I attract you back. So when Krishna comes in this material world, he comes in the most beautiful form, his own form, and he attracts us back to him. So we get a chance to, what is it Krishna wants to do? His desire is to bring people back from the prison, out of the prison, back to his kingdom. Now what do we do when we're in ISKCON? We take those books, we go out on the streets, we tell others what we learned, and we effectively become ministers of Krishna, of God. We effectively become the servants of God. And what does a servant do? He fulfills the desire of the master. What is the desire of the master? Get everyone back home. So effectively, we're ministers, or we're trying to become ministers in the prison. Now, if you become a minister in the prison, you're not a prisoner anymore. that means your shackles have to loosen a little bit. Krishna wants to give you some facility. Now see, the Brahmins are doing exactly the same thing. They're providing the knowledge and the the spiritual and material upliftment of society without any expectation of return, practically like ministers in the prison. And now Krishna is giving them facility. So Krishna is wonderful in that way. And I mean, we don't have so long. We probably should end. I'll end on one story because we have to finish in 2 minutes. See, there was a hunter called Mrigari. And he used to kill animals by shooting an arrow and leaving them half dead. And they were like screaming out in help. So Narad Muni, one day he comes and he's seeing that Mrigari is doing this activity. So he approaches Mrigari, "What are you doing?" And as soon as Narad Muni comes, all the animals run away, and Mrigari is upset, and he wants to chastise Narad Muni. And Narad Muni asks, "What are you doing? When you shoot the arrow and make them suffer more, then that will incur more sin on your part. So that will lead to a sinful life. That will lead to more reactions." So Mrigari is a little intelligent, and he says, "Okay, I won't do this anymore." But then how do I was taught like this. So Narad Muni says, "Kill them completely. That's better." So Mrigari says, okay, that sounds good. And now Mrigari, he's come to, after a bit of the conversation, and Narad Muni is asking him to just stop what he's doing. Narad Muni now asks him, "How do you feel?" And now Mrigari says, "I am scared. I'm scared of my sinful reactions. So please, I surrender. I surrender to you. What do you want me to do?" Narad Muni says, "Leave everything. Renounce your life. Renounce your duties as a hunter. Renounce everything. Renounce everything with your wife. Renounce all your possessions, and live in the forest, and grow a tulsi plant, and chant Hare Krishna." So Mrigari is like, "Oh, how am I going to get my livelihood? How am I going to eat?" So Narad Muni says, "It will be okay." So Mrigari accepts the good advice. He leaves with his wife, and he goes to the part of the forest, and he leaves everything, and he chants Hare Krishna. And now, because he's become a saint, because he's now giving everything up for the service of Krishna, by chanting his name and developing a loving relationship with Krishna himself, now people heard there's a saint in the forest. So now people are going towards Mrigari, and when you go to a saint, you give him some gifts. So now Mrigari and his wife are there, and many people are coming to see him, and they're bringing gifts, and he can eat for a feast for 20 people. So this is one moral of the story, that actually when you surrender everything to Krishna, there's no chance Krishna will not provide for you. And when we're a devotee, we have to act, guna and karma. We have to act in the way, and we have to have the qualities of a devotee. Then Krishna will really provide for us. What would he provide? Happiness, everything. So we'll end here, and hopefully we can all surrender to Krishna in this way, in any way we can. And thank you for your time, and please forgive me if I've made any offenses. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Yeah, it's good. If we just, I think, end now. I think the people are coming in. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.